My name is James Horner. I'm a composer. I write music. And I am currently working on the film Avatar. I've done several films where I actually haven't written a score. I guess the best way to describe it is I've improvised a score against picture, but the audience would never know it. I'd say on this film, I wanted this to be a non-orchestral score with orchestral elements in it, and I think for the most part I've done that. Writing film music is such an all-encompassing art form like painting. You have to know something about what it is you're doing with it artistically, because time is so short when you're standing in front of 130 people. It's so expensive to keep track of what I am doing now transparently. Instead of using just pen and paper, I'm using Sibelius, writing in ways that are not conventional ways of writing. I mean, without it, we'd be lost. And Pro Tools is such a wonderful enabler. It's like a library. It's like a writer, recorder. It's an everything tool with Pro Tools. We've created hugely complicated textures. And then I'm using Pro Tools to record music on the recording stage.
I'm Simon Rhodes. I am the scoring mixer for Avatar. As soon as we started working in this house, Pro Tools 8 came out, and we were, I guess, one of the first people to be using it. And it was immediately apparent that the new features, the score editor, the MIDI editor and video, the satellite were the key elements which were going to make this project.
My name is Simon Franklin. I'm the electronic music arranger on Avatar. Pro Tools HD has been absolutely essential to the process. It is impossible to imagine making the score using anything else.
The workflow isn't set in stone. We're very flexible, and we can be here with how each cue is tackled and dealt with.
On one 9-minute battle cue, I had close to 450 tracks between instruments and audio. A typical cue would start with a rough orchestral outline that James has written on paper. Then between Simon Rhodes and I, we would transfer that into a mock-up orchestrally or build it synthetically, and then I get the freedom to paint.
Then we just have fun with the pre-records, developing interesting electronic sounds and rhythms, as well as all the vocal elements and all the various other ethnic colours which have so much a character of this score.
There is a lot of orchestra in the score, but there's 300 minutes of music in it.
In this case, everything has been done inside the box. We've not used a single external synthesizer. Everything has been done with virtual instruments. Where on Titanic I had 2 tons of equipment, on this I've ended up with 1 Mac Pro with Pro Tools HD.
My usual process is I work at a desk. I write music on big pieces of paper. I've been trying to move slowly away from writing conventional orchestral music to writing orchestral music, but incorporating other instruments that don't play orchestrally. And I like to weave those worlds into the thing that I'm doing, so that becomes an experiment, that I'm moving away from purely Western symphony orchestra type scores.
Once I've created my rough electronic arrangement, I will create a rough mix in my Pro Tools rig that has my sad, pathetic attempts at mixing compared to Simon Rhodes's, so that everybody can listen and see whether they think that the elements that I'm creating are working. At that point, I then just transfer via Ethernet the whole thing into his rig. He then has to mix it out, bring it out into a 5.1 world. He's got a much larger rig for mixing. He's got Lexicon 960s as external reverb. He's then using our favorite little icons to create the mix.
D-Command and the D-Control are the only consoles which have got the custom fader groups, where you can just lock down faders no matter where you are in the session, wherever you've navigated to. These faders will always be in the same place on the same track, so that's why I have to have them.
Part of this process also is that we're using Sibelius and the scoring elements in Pro Tools extensively. So any rough orchestrations that I or anybody else might come up with, or if James has wanted to create an orchestration on the fly, and the orchestrators can take that and work with that from Sibelius.
Once we get down to Fox scoring, which is where we're recording the orchestra and the choir, we're up to the 3 HD rig scenario there. So we have all the pre-records which have been created in this room are being played off the synth rig. And I just mute all the orchestral elements that we're going to be replacing with real orchestra. Also be running the Mix HD rig along with video satellite to get the picture, and to have cues which we need to reference frame accurate.
Video satellite has been essential to what we're doing here, because with the huge number of picture changes and the fact that we're running so much, it has allowed us to know that we can offload the video to a separate system.
And the orchestral rig, we're actually running 96K with very high quality converters on that one. The way I've organised it is my main orchestral stem is analog into the mix rig, and all the other 7 stems are digitally, and everything is being mixed in the box, completely in the box.
The sheer quantity of material has been, compared to anything that I think any of us have ever done before, this sets new standards in terms of the size of stuff. You know, I'm just the first stage in this process. I'm trying to realize what James has written, and we couldn't have done it without Pro Tools HD and without the MIDI that we have now. It makes the process possible. We couldn't have made the score for Avatar without Pro Tools HD.
We're right at the ragged edge of what Pro Tools will do, but that's a great thing.
Pro Tools scales so beautifully from the very, very smallest of systems up to the biggest systems that we're running here. And I know that somebody who's got a home MBox 2 is using exactly the same tools that I'm using on Avatar.
In the project, we've explored all the capabilities of Pro Tools, every single facet of the software and the hardware. We've been able to really push to its limit, and you feel that you're on the edge of a really important part of filmmaking history here. Just the amount of time that we've spent on this and the amount of love and the amount of changes that we've had to deal with, and it feels that having the Pro Tools here has really helped us facilitate all of these changes. It's a very creative platform to work on. I couldn't imagine doing it on another platform.